so no regret. Happy before we get another day to do it all again. Oh, we're throwing open all the curtains wide. Oh, not gonna miss a thing. Oh, nothing's promised to you in this life, but it's there for us to take. So live well before we break. In the sun, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Hold it in the sun, all of the best yet to come. Hold it in the sun, don't know what you got till it's gone. Hold it in the sun, all of the best yet to come. We're throwing open all the curtains wide. Not gonna miss a thing. Nothing's promised to you in this life, but it's there for us to take. So live well before we break.
Welcome to the locker room. How are you today? It is 3:33. Sorry, I was a little bit late getting started. The bathroom called. I had to go tinkle. I know. TMI. Really right? Really right? Why are we talking about this stuff? Okay. So this business with hate crimes. After the Charlie Kirk incident, and I was reading in one of the posts about it, they were talking about hate crimes. Now, I've heard about hate crimes before. Don't get me wrong. My dad was a police officer when I was growing up, and we didn't have much of that. There's not a lot of hate crimes here in Kansas that I am aware of. Now, there may be. Now, down in Arkansas, I don't know if you call them hate crimes, but one certain group of people of one color or nationality, I'll put it that way, didn't like a certain group of people from another nationality, and at the fair, whichever group got to the fair first, and I don't know how they knew who got to the fair first. I think they all came in different gates because there was like 8 gates at the fair. I was working security there, and I was working main gate that night, and this group come in. I didn't know nothing about this color nationality not liking this nationality. To me, everybody's everybody, okay? So that night at the fair, when this group came in, this other group kind of, oh, phew, have a good night. CJ's leaving for work. Okay, well, I'm security. I have to break this stuff up. Okay, so I go get right in the middle of it. Right, and I've got a firearm on my side, but I didn't pull it because I was told not to unholster it unless I was ready to use. And if I'm ready to use, make sure you're for a good job. Okay, so anyway, I didn't use it. So I get out in the middle of it, and y'all stop, bring it up. And they they got more security to come in and take care of it. Don't get me wrong, but then I got reprimanded from my boss because I walked right into the middle of this. I could have been the one laying on the ground hurt or worse. But I didn't think about that. I thought about doing my job. And I didn't know if that was hate crime. I just thought it was one gang against another gang. I didn't know. So I still don't know if it's hate crime. You're not late. You're not late. We just started. We've only been here about 3 minutes. With the rain and everything, I thought I was going to have to go get CJ. So I scheduled my live for a little bit late. We don't have our incense. Go. So. CJ texted me from school today. He says, Mom, this rain is gearing up for 36 hours. Oh, I'm glad she does. I am so glad she does. He says, this rain's gearing up for 36 hours. I'm going to have to borrow your truck for work. I said, we'll see. It quit raining. Sorry, I got to use my truck tonight. I got to go to Walmart. So I don't like giving him my truck. We have full coverage insurance, so he's covered to drive it. He's over 18. I know, right? He's over 18. He's able to, his license is legal. I just don't like letting my truck go. But he is saving. Today, we put $400 in his savings to start saving because he spent all of his savings at the fair this weekend with my friend Henry's kids, and they've got 6 kids, and he paid for all of them to ride this one ride, and it cost him over $70 for all 6 kids to ride this one ride. I don't even know what the ride was, but he didn't ask. That's the 3rd time I've got a motion detector signal on my front door. Sorry. Oh, there was a billing phone. Scissors? Oh. Okay, apparently CJ hasn't left yet and he's moving back and forth in front of the porch. I'm looking at the little videos there on my... Okay. And it says that since my debit card got compromised and I had to get a new debit card, I got to pay the bill for having my Ring camera. Okay, we got Kayla in a car. It needs tires, but she's legal and ready to go. Yay! Yay! That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's get into this hate crime business. Screen. Let's start with Grok, because I went on Grok and I asked what's happening in the field of hate crimes. Good afternoon, H. Davis. How are you doing today? I hope you're feeling better. So we're talking about hate crimes, and I'm not against any nationality. Like I said, you do you, I'll do me. So, I have to take care of what's in my own backyard before I go try to take care of what's in yours. I know that. Okay. So this come up on Grok. Look at this. I can scroll long ways. And then there's 14 web pages about it and 28 posts on X about it, which I didn't look at any of those. Says hate crimes in the United States remain a significant issue. And I didn't know they were a real thing. With recent data and developments highlighting both persistent challenges and the shifts in trends, Below is a summary of key points based on available information from September 17th, 2025. Key trends and statistics. Do you want to come up on stage? Okay. Says overall crime levels. In 2024, the FBI reported 11,679 hate crime incidents. I'm floored. I'm really floored because I didn't know there were really that many. Okay. The second highest total since data collection began in 1990, down slightly 1.5% from the record high of 11,862 in 2023. These incidents involved 13,683 bias-motivated offenses, targeting characteristics like race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, and disability. In U.S. major cities, hate crimes dipped slightly by 2.7% in 2024, 3,268 incidents across 42 cities, but levels remain near their historic highs, particularly for religion-based crimes. So targeted groups, race and ethnicity is over half of the hate crimes, okay? And it says with Black Americans being the most targeted group, followed by Jewish Americans, and then gay men. Now, how can you tell by looking at somebody that they're Jewish? Are they the ones that wear the little beanie on their hat, on their head? And I thought only men did that, the Jewish men. I didn't know. Okay. Religion, anti-Jew hate crimes rose by 12%, and anti-Muslim hate crimes by 18% in 2024, continuing an upward trend linked in Middle East conflicts, particularly in Israel and Gaza war. Manda Panda, did you ask number 2 if you have to order her cap and gown? Is she going to check it too? Hey, Smoking Molly Collie, it's good to see you. The only crime in America is the hate we all have for Trump. All right, we're not going to go politics on this one, please, because a lot of people don't hate Mr. Trump. A lot of people didn't like Mr. Biden. A lot of people didn't like Mr. Reagan. You know, a lot of people didn't like Mr. Jimmy Carter. But we got through it. And it doesn't matter if you like or hate somebody, because they're here to stay. And they're doing the best they can do for our country. It's not that we have to agree with everything that gets done. So if we're going to go political, I will have one of my mods remove you. So let's be nice, okay, Smoking Molly Collie? I appreciate you being here. All right. The anti-Jewish crimes rose by 12%, as anti-Muslim hate crimes by 18%. Sexual orientation and gender identity, anti-LGBTQ. Now, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what all them letters stand for. I know what a couple of them are, okay? Plus, hate crimes numbered 2,413 in 2024, slightly down from 2,569 in 23, but still significant, with 1950 incidents targeting sexual orientation and 463 target gender identity. These crimes made up 22% of the total hate crimes, with transgender and gender non-conforming individuals facing disappropriate attacks. Now, when it talks non-gender, okay, I'm guessing that's the non-binary people. Those people, I never thought they existed. I thought they just classified themselves as non-binary. It was recently brought into my life the fact that there are people born without the binary gene. Their chromosomes didn't split. They became a male or became a female, whichever this person happens to be, but they don't have the gene that tells them on the inside which to be. So they can be born, and I didn't know this, truly non-binary. You do you, man. You do you. So I'm not against non-binary people. Now, people that are going to say I'm non-binary just to get out of doing something, I'm against that. And I'm against if you get into a fight with somebody, between you and somebody, that's between you and them. When you lose the fight, don't go say they were fighting me because I'm non-binary, whether you're male, female, or whatever you are. Let's don't turn a disagreement into a hate crime. Okay, I've always thought that the colored people, the people of brown skin, ethnicity, use the anti-black way too much, way too much. Okay, so anti-migrant crimes in Manhattan, anti-national origin hate crimes surged 900% in 2024. From 1 to 10 cases, with 60% targeting perceived migrants, often involving rhetoric like, go back to your country. I don't hate one, I dislike a few people. I don't hate no one. That's right, you don't have to agree with everybody. And even if you don't like the things a person does, H. Davis, I'm sure in your heart, with your love of God that you've got, you still love them as a person and you don't wish ill on them. I'm sure about that. But that don't mean you have to like everything they do. You can dislike them as a person. I've met people that I dislike as a person. But I wouldn't wish any ill harm on them or anything like that. Specific incidents, notable cases in 2025, yes, thank you, include a Colorado man charged with hate crimes for firebombing attack on a demonstration for Israel hostages. I didn't know they had Israel hostages in America. A Virginia man convicted for a hate-motivated church bang-bang attempt, and a Texas man sentenced for threats against a Sikh nonprofit. Sikh, I don't know how to say that word. Sikh nonprofit. Okay. High-profile cases such as the red rum of Charlie Kirk at Utah University on September 10th are under investigation as potential hate crimes, with the FBI offering a $100,000 reward for information. Okay, and then it goes to say policy enforcement development, justice development actions, state level advocacy. So in South Carolina, so that's something that just happened in South Carolina, and it was a person of color targeted in a racist shooting, is pushing for state hate crime law as the state lacks one. Okay, so that I can agree with. If your state doesn't have a hate crime law, it doesn't matter your nationality. I think your state should have a hate crime law. I do. Now that I know there are hate crimes, that they're a real thing, I think it should be against the law everywhere. Data limitations. Advocates note that hate crimes numbered may be underreported due to limited agency participation. This is true. If a hate crime's not reported, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just like if you run a stop sign, which we all know is illegal. I'm going to say 80% of us who drive have run a stop sign. I know I have. But just because you didn't get caught doesn't mean you didn't run the stop sign. It just means next time you go to a stop sign, you stop twice to make up for the one that you didn't stop at the first time. Okay. Okay. Rhetoric and policy, anti-LGBTQ and hate crimes are linked to a rising anti-trans rhetoric and legislation with advocates like GLAAD. I don't know what that is. Let's see if we can reflect. GLAD responds to 224 FBI hate crimes documented. GLAD, okay. So it doesn't say what GLAAD stands for. And human rights campaign calling for inclusive laws and community action. Amanda Panda, if you're still here, would you look up the acronym for GLAAD for me? Online narratives promoting online narratives promoting stereotypes against religious minorities, immigrants, and LGBTQ individuals correlate with the elevated hate crime truth. And I'm going to say online influence, meaning social media, because I haven't heard anything in the news that promotes stereotyping against anybody. The critical perspective, while the data shows a slight decline in overall hate crimes, the number remains near record high in specific groups, particularly Jewish, Muslim, Black, and LGBTQ communities face persistent targeting. Underreporting remains a concern. That's what I just said a little bit ago, as does the gap between legal definitions and real-world incidents. An anti-migrant crime not only qualifies as hate crime under current news law, anti-migrant crimes not qualifying as hate crimes under current law. The correlation between geopolitical events, online rhetoric, and hate crime spikes suggests that border social and political dynamics play a significant role. Efforts like Federal Task Force and DOJ prosecutions aim to address this, but systemic issues such as inconsistent state laws and distrust in law enforcement complicate the progress. If you'd like to deeper dive, I can deeper dive, but I think we've heard enough on that one. So the next screen we're going to go to says, Feds considering hate crimes in Richland County shooting. This is from the Herald, and the link for this is in my description. I didn't put a link for Grok, which is what we just read, because I forgot. But Grok is GROK, and you can find anything you want on Grok, unless it's something that happened like right now, because Grok is like a few days behind of what's been happening. So let's shut this advertisement off. Feds considering hate crimes case in Richland County shooting. Let's see what this has to say. Do we have sound? Let's back it up to the beginning. Give us some sound. Give us full screen. And
Have you been dreaming about paying off credit card debt? installing solar panels, going to college, or even buying a plane.
Did someone really do this?
Yeah, someone really did this. With Figure HELOC, your home can help you cover so many things. The opportunities are endless. Make that wish list a reality and choose the fastest HELOC on the planet. Figure Home Equity Line. Faster than a bank loan, cheaper than a personal loan.
Yesterday, we arrested Jonathan Feckle, who is 33 years old, who actually lives in Spring Valley, along with our victim lives in Spring Valley too. He was charged with assault and battery of high aggravated nature and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. During the interview with him, he went in pretty great detail his reason for shooting at our victim, and it was based solely on the race of our victim. Our victim is black. The suspect is white, and he was shooting at him to bring fear and intimidation to him based on his race, which fits in exactly what this hate crime ordinance at Richland County has. So that additional charge was added to the charges that we've put on him.
Okay. So that's a hate crime. You know, I never considered it a hate crime, all the shootings and stuff that you've heard about. I've heard about growing up in Chicago and areas like that. I've heard about it, but I didn't really ever believe it was true. I thought, I watched Cops, at least 2 seasons of Cops, and it didn't look like, to me, they didn't look like hate crimes. They just looked like gang things. And I don't know if gang things are classified as hate crimes. Maybe I just need to go back to school and get some education. Okay, Indiana hate crime reports fell in 2024. Now, I couldn't find very much about 2025 because I'm presuming it's because 2025 hasn't happened yet. And this is by WFYI and PBS and NPR, Public News Affairs. Donor portal. Okay, I'm trying to get everybody in here. And Zach Castle wrote, Indiana hate crime reports fell in 2024 but remain near high record. Okay, this one's pretty long. Reports of hate crimes in Indiana trend slightly downward in 2024, according to new annual data. There were 149 incidents in Indiana, down 17% from the previous year. Across the country, incidents also decreased, but 2024 was still one of the worst years since the FBI began collecting data decades ago. There were 11,679 incidents reporting nationwide. That's 1.5% less than 2023 record high of 11,862 incidents. I'm wondering if the hate crimes, it just crossed my mind, are they more prevalent, like they happen more when we have a Democratic president than when we have a Republican president? I don't know if anybody's ever done the math, but I imagine them knowing what year. And in 2024, the year of 2024, when the hate crimes had come down, we did have a Democratic president at the time. And hate crimes and crimes committed with a bias against a person or group, perceived or actual characteristics, including race, color, religion, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability. Last year, about 60% of hate crimes reported in Indiana were based on race, ethnicity, or ancestry, the same percentage as 2023. But hate crimes in the bias category have been trending downward statewide since at least 2020, when they accounted to 67% of all incidents. Of the remaining incidents in 2024, 19% were based on religion, 13% on sexual orientation, 8% on gender identity, 4% on disability, and 1% on gender. The most targeted group in Indiana were Black people, white people, Hispanic or Latino people, and Jewish people, followed by the larger LGBTQ community. Nationally, the most targeted groups were Black people, Jewish people, and gay men. And this is showing a graph of the crime from the years. And if somebody went back and said, okay, did we have a Democratic president here or a Republican president here, or was it a Democrat here, like that, I'm sure we could find out because there's spikes here. Is this Democrat or Republican? Who knows? I don't know all the presidents, which I could look them up if I felt inclined and look up the years they were active as presidents, but it's just a thought. Ow. I inhaled and I've got ribs out of place. Researchers have consistently pointed out that the number in federal data are an undercount. So that's because of not reported crimes in states that don't have hate crimes or don't recognize hate crimes. Although it does provide us with these estimates, we always have what's called dark figure of crime, which is the percentage of crimes that go unreported, said Stacy Merkin, a professor of criminal justice at Indiana University South Bend. So we will never know 100% with 100% accuracy how many actual hate crimes are occurring. So her research on hate crimes examined media coverage, fictional representation. Now, isn't fictional mean it's not right? Because if you have a fiction book, it's all made up in fact or fiction. So fiction means it's not right. So that means people stating it was a hate crime when it wasn't actually a hate crime. And motivation, finding that a lot of representation focused on the victim but didn't delve into the suspect's motivation. I hear thunder. But Merkin said that there were several reasons victims may not report crimes. They may not know that what they've experienced is a hate crime. See, that would be me. That would be me. If I got into a fight with Stacy, and Stacy happened to be of a different race than me as being white, if me and Stacy got into a fight, equal fight. Not she didn't start it, I didn't start it. We just both disagreed on something and started fighting, and it was like this and this and this. And one of us ended up down while the other one was up. Would that be a hate crime? If Stacy had in her mind that she didn't like me because I was white or because I was born female, and this is what caused this, that would mean it was a hate crime. But I wouldn't know it because Stacy never told me she didn't like white people. Okay, here we go. But on the other hand, law enforcement agency may also be underreporting. If the reporting is lacking by victims, then likely the police departments are thinking that there is not anything going on, which is not the case. Okay, hate crime incidents in U.S. 91 to 24. See how this is what was reported. And that's different because this one up here was only in Indiana. Okay, this was only in Indiana. And this was in the entire U.S. See how it surged up here? We got 20, 21, 22, 23, and in 24 it started coming back down. The FBI has transitioned to a new criminal incident reporting system that allows for agency to include more detail. It has taken time for local law enforcement to update this system, but it could enable a deeper analysis of the data. The agency said 16,419 law enforcement agencies across the country participated in hate crime data collection last year, covering over 95% of the U.S. population. In Indiana, 240 local and state police agencies submitted crime data to the FBI. Of those, 181 agencies did not report a hate crime last year. Only 25% of the agencies reported at least one incident. Despite the under-reporting problems, the FBI has collected and shared criminal justice data since 1930. Merkin said that criminal justice researchers considered it to be one of the more stable data sets. Okay. So Indiana has a real bad problem. My ex-husband had family in Indiana. Okay, let's go to the lantern. Now, until today, I have never heard of the lantern. I don't know where it's out of or anything. This is as of August 20th, which was last month, just a month ago. Man pleads guilty to 2023 hate crime that took place at Ohio State. Here is the Ohio State University. And Timur Mamatov, Timur Mamatov, I had to found that one out, sorry, pled guilty to violating the Hate Crime Prevention Act after he assaulted two Jewish students on campus based on their religion. Credit by Zachary Riley. A man pled, hey, would you look up the acronym for SAAD, please? A man pled guilty in the U.S. District Court this past Friday for hate crimes that happened on North High Street in Ohio State campus in 2023. Timur Mamatov admitted to violating the Hate Crime Prevention Act after his physical assault of two Jewish students on campus based on their religion. University spokesperson Chris Booker said an email that the university condemns hate crimes. I don't feel like downloading a PDF because my computer's acting stupid. It says anti-Semitic, anti-Semitism, I'm sorry. It's about hate crimes. It was an acronym we read earlier for hate crimes, and it's the group is called SAAD. So, and I didn't know what it was. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. They were talking about LGBTQ, however you say that, and the SADD people groups. So, and I didn't know what SAAD meant. Ohio State immediately responded through law enforcement and other support, and we appreciate the work of the U.S. Department of Justice as well as that of federal, state, and local law enforcement in supporting students at Ohio State. In a statement, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division said violence against people of faith is illegal and unacceptable. And I do agree with that. U.S. Attorney Dominic S. Gerace II said no one should feel unsafe due to their faith. That is true. Mamatov admitted in court today that he assaulted victims because they were Jewish. Gerace said in a statement, no American should fear being violently attacked based on their religious beliefs. Well, that's what he just said up here. They shouldn't feel unsafe about their faith. According to the court documents, on November 10th, 2023, Mamatov and a friend had an altercation with 5 students outside of a bar on North High Street. One of the students was wearing a chai pendant, a well-known Jewish symbol representing the Hebrew character of 18. Mamatov asked the student if they were Jewish, to which they replied yes. Mamatov then punched one of the victims, fracturing his jaw, and a second victim was injured, suffering from a fractured nose. Mamatov was charged with a bill for information on July 3rd. Mamatov was not a student of Ohio State nor affiliated with the university. Federal district judge will decide his sentence at a later date. So he he admitted. He asked the guy if he was Jewish, and he said yes. No, pow, right in the kisser. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then from MSN, it says, Augusta celebrates 200 years of freedom. I don't know. Okay. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. America blisters with hate and violence. Okay, we know about the assassination of influential conservative commentator Charlie Kirk on the campus of Utah Valley University. We went through his whole case. But that was one of the high profile cases that's right now, The Kirk was Idaho 4 was hate crime in my opinion. Yeah, he had hatred towards women. Hatred towards popular people. Can we go take him to court on that? I read the other day that there is going to be, the prosecution has found something that wasn't a part of the original case, but they found it in documents, and they're going to try to take him to court and have a case against him over that, which I think that would just be a waste of money, because he's already doing life, and with 4 sentences on top of that, 4 10-year sentences on top of that. So, I mean, the charismatic founder of right-leaning youth organization Turning Point USA and a longtime ally of President Mr. Donald Trump was delivering a speech under a campus tent in Orem, Utah, when a single gunshot struck him in the neck. He collapsed, was rushed to a local hospital, and later pronounced not alive. So at the time this was written, they were still looking for um, Mr. Robinson. So, okay. But that was classified as a hate crime. So back when I was in school, a lot of people said they hated me because my dad was a cop. Some people tried to beat me up because of it. So was that a hate crime? I don't guess they had hate crimes back in the 80s, did they? Or they didn't recognize them. FBI investigates Minneapolis Catholic school shooting as domestic terrorism hate crime. Because the other guy had got on his knees and said he did it to give him time to run away. Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Deadly attack on Annunciation. Annunciation. Yeah, I said it right the first time. Catholic school leaves 2 children and the perpetrator unalived, 17 injured, and prompts a federal hate crime investigation. Now, how can there be the guy with the blue shorts that was all over the news ran to the police and said he did it? Oh yeah, but he didn't really do it. He was given the other. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Now I understand that they're going to have an investigation because they have to, but they can't. If this person right here is not alive anymore. Oh, you can't even see what I'm looking at. I'm sorry. It says FBI investigates Minneapolis Catholic school bang bang as domestic terrorism hate crime. Deadly attack on Annunciation Catholic school leaves 2 children and the shooter not alive. 17 injured and prompts a federal hate crime investigation. Now, what's the purpose for an investigation if they already know who did it? Who did it? It was a hate crime, case closed. They can't bring anybody to court, so there's no reason for an investigation. A horrific act of violence at a Minneapolis Catholic school on Wednesday, which unalived 2 children and wounded 17 others, is now being investigated as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime, according to the FBI. Okay, if the perpetrator was from another country, I can understand an investigation because he did not act alone. FBI Director Kash Patel. See, I'm trying to read further ahead without even reading further ahead. I'm trying to make it up in my own head as I go. FBI Director Kash Patel announced on social media that the Bureau is trending the incident as a hate crime targeting Catholics. The shooting, which occurred as children were attending morning mass because the school didn't support the trans person, is what's being investigated. Oh! See, you're smarter than I am. The bang bang, which occurred as children were attending morning mass, claimed the lives of an 8 and 10-year-old. Watch. Scrawled on gun mags of Minneapolis. I don't want to watch that video. Minneapolis confirmed that the perpetrator, 23-year-old Robin Westman, a trans woman, also passed away from the self-inflicted incident. See, you're smart. You must have heard this on the news. You're smarter than I am. See, I'm learning this. Right, right. So it's classified as hate crime because the school didn't recognize, but I thought the Catholics recognized everybody. Okay. Westman reportedly fed off dozens of rounds through the church's window from outside, striking children and adults inside the building before taking his own life. Minneapolis Catholic identified as transgender Robert Westman, formerly Robert. According to the police, the suspect was armed with a long pew and a more powerful one, and a hand one. The deliberate nature of the attack on the church during a school mass had led investigators to believe it was a targeted act. The motive remains under investigation, but the FBI's designation of the incident as a hate crime indicates a belief that the victims were targeted because of their religion. Their religion not believing in him. Okay, her. Please make a small donation to Tampa Free. Okay. And this is all about Tampa Free Press. Okay. So, this was on MSN. So this says Alabama Muslim advocacy group urges hate crime probe after threats against candidate. This is from AL.com from Alabama. Get away. I had a advertisement I had to get rid of. Download now in print. Okay. We already read that. And these ladies, I guess they're the ones that are identified by us as Muslims. Now, which ones are the ones who has to have their face covered all the time? See, I don't know. To me, people are people. She's wearing a scarf. Her hair's not going to blow on the motorcycle. An Alabama Muslim advocacy organization is calling on state and federal law enforcement to investigate the unalived threats targeting Hoover City Council candidate Travir Patel as hate crimes. Patel, who immigrated from India in 1990, said the Facebook comments, which including unalived threats, slurs, and other hateful speech, were frightening and heartbreaking, but maintains that hate will not win. One comment stated, "How come we're not allowed to just bang and unalive these people and get them out of our F country?" See, my thing is, what does it matter if it was a hate crime? It's a crime regardless. Why do they need a special label? I hadn't thought about that. You're right. Maybe if they label it as a hate crime, they can put one more charge on them and get them in jail for. She says, Amanda Panda says, does hate crime make it worse or more justified? Like I was saying, I think it gives them one more charge to charge them with. Is hate crime a felony or a misdemeanor? I don't know. Okay. commercials. Threats and intimidation targeting a Muslim candidate are not just attacks on one individual. They are attacks on democracy, inclusion, and the constitutional rights of all Americans. Alabama Council on American Islamic Relations Representative Britton O'Shields said in a statement, "No one should be targeted for their faith or identity when seeking public office." Now, I didn't know, maybe in lower level offices, if you're an immigrant, you have to take citizenship in order to be in office anywhere. How long are you classified an immigrant? I mean, yeah, you migrated over here from another country, but you came legally. You got your citizenship so you could go run in office. Why does immigration have anything to do with it? If you're here legally, I have no problem with you being here. If you broke the law and came here illegally, I think you should be sent home and allowed to come back legally. And you should get your citizenship. My sister-in-law and her sister got their citizenship. They had been here since 1986 from Germany. They'd been in the States and they kept their green cards active and they got their citizenship. You're just a naturalized citizen. You're always an immigrant. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But they got their citizenship in 2017. So they had to go through a lot. And they can speak English. They can also speak German. But the last time I talked to my sister-in-law, which that's been years ago, she said that she has trouble sometimes understanding her family at times because she's learned English and has to translate the German into her head, and sometimes she gets confused. No one should be targeted for their faith or identity when seeking public office. We urge state and federal law enforcement to investigate these threats of hate-motivated crimes and to ensure the safety and dignity of the candidate and the bordering community. So far, Hoover Mayor Frank Broccato has condemned the attacks. The Hoover Police Department has opened an investigation and the FBI has been informed of the attacks. Okay. The FBI neither confirms nor denies the existence of an investigation. Now, why would they hide from it? Why would they hide from it? That doesn't make sense. Okay, this goes into a conversation. Okay, so Amanda Panda says, "You're always an immigrant. You're just a naturalized citizen when you take your citizenship." Now, I've never been in the position to need to take citizenship because I've never been out of America. But doesn't that renounce your status in the country that you came from? So you are now of German nationality, but you're an American citizen. So you're no longer as a German citizen like that. Because you can get dual citizenship. I know people that have citizenship in Canada and in America. So you have dual citizenship. So you can be a citizen in both countries. Candidate for Congress proposes new legislation targeting hate crimes. Okay, let's listen to what he has to say. There's a commercial. Consternation. What's that word mean? Okay, let's pull it up on screen so you can see what we're watching. This is from WMUR 9 news station, and it says Commitment 2020.
A recent march of masked individuals in Concord carrying swastika flags caused outrage and consternation. Christian Urrutia, a candidate for Congress in New Hampshire's 1st District, says it instantly became a point of discussion on the campaign trail.
One of the things that people pointed out time and time again, they're all wearing masks, an impunity that came with it.
Urrutia says that motivated him to propose a new piece of legislation he plans to file if elected, what he's calling the Neo-Nazi and Extremist Masking Accountability Act.
If people use a mask and commit hate crimes, we should hold them accountable for that at higher levels. That means...
Can you see it now? I can see it on my screen. He says that if they wear a mask and propose a hate crime, then it should be charged at higher levels. I'm going to go back this far.
We should hold them accountable for that at higher levels. That means increased criminal hate crimes. We should hold them accountable for it.
The and Extremist Masking Accountability Act.
If people use a mask and commit hate crimes, we should hold them accountable for that at higher levels. That means increased criminal penalties and also fines to actually educate people on anti-hate initiatives. I think that's really important. We have to tackle the impunity here.
The FBI just released the hate crime statistics for 2024 last week. Overall, they're down slightly from 2023. Last year, the Bureau logged 11,679 incidents, 13,683 offenses, with 14,243 victims. In terms of the motivating factor behind the hate crimes, the FBI says 53.2% targeted the victim's race. In 23.5% of cases, it was religion, 17.2% sexual orientation, and 3.9% gender identity.
Now, I don't know why. I guess it's always been a thing, but gender identity has just become it went from being like this, where not very many people knew about it or talked about it, to now it's like this, totally off screen here. And it's all of a sudden it's a new thing that it's a reason to not like people. And trust me, I'm a you do you person. But during 2025, it was brought to my attention that I was somebody that didn't approve of somebody feeling like they weren't themselves. It was brought to my attention. I apologized to that person that I felt that way about. Because I didn't even realize I felt that way. I knew it was brought to my attention that I was saying things that were really rude to that person, but I wasn't doing a hate crime type thing. But that really opened my eyes about the way I was acting. Because I can't sit here and say I'm a you do you person and feel like that towards anybody, because that's being hypocritical. And I'm not hypocritical. You do you. That's the way I feel. And I allow the person, whatever, you do you. If you want to be straight this week and gay next week, that's on you. If you want to be dressed like a girl this week and dressed like a boy next week, that's on you. That's not on me. But I was hypocritical about that sort of thing. And I apologize. And I was in the wrong. But it was brought to my attention. And I didn't like it when it was brought to my attention. But after I thought about it, I did something about it. So there we go.
With a small fraction of remaining hate crimes targeting disability and gender.
Urrutia is an attorney who previously served in the Biden administration. He says he is narrowly crafting this bill to protect free speech, and he also doesn't want to prevent other kinds of protesters from being able to cover their faces to protect their identity.
And if they want to wear a mask to demonstrate against the government, this bill actually protects it. It's going after the hate groups, the neo-Nazis, the fascists. That's what we need to focus on.
Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
I agree with that. I got to figure out how to make it go small
Back
again.
to school, general. Learn more about programs. Western Governors.
Lace up your sneakers. Fall is prime run.
Okay, so now that I've admitted my wrongdoing, I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is Courthouse News Service, and it is view back issues. This is from the courthouse, okay? And that's Courthouse News Service. White supremacist leader to plead guilty of soliciting hate crimes. Okay, I've heard of the white supremacists before. Aren't they the white people? Well, years and years and years ago, it used to be like, were the KKK white supremacists? And then they became people that shaved their heads. They called them skinheads. Were those white supremacists? I don't know. Dallas Humber's plea deal carries a potential sentence of up to 30 years, avoiding the life term she faced if convicted of all charges at trial. The program, a California leader of the far-right white supremacist terrorism collective on Friday agreed to plead guilty to soliciting hate crimes and soliciting the red rum of federal officials, among other charges. I bet she's no longer a California official. Okay? Now, a lot of stuff happens in California that we don't agree with, but there's a lot of things that happens in California that's Aryan Brotherhood. Okay, I'm sorry. See? It's great to have a smart mind. Okay. The best thing that happened in California, and this is a joke. I'm not being serious. This is a joke. But they own Nancy Pelosi. I'm sorry. It's a joke. It's a joke. I know a lot's been said about Nancy Pelosi and what kind of a person she is. I haven't said any of it. The only thing I said was there was a thing going around on Facebook. It says, my name is Amanda, but I'm not Amanda so-and-so, which is a big political person. And I said, my name is Nancy, but it's not Pelosi. And at the time that was going around, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I didn't even know who Nancy Pelosi was. I just know I'd heard her name and that nobody liked her. So, okay. So, I said, my name's Nancy, but not Pelosi. I could have said my name's Nancy, but not Landon Casamol, which when I was in high school, she was the governor of Kansas. I liked her. She was a wonderful person. But I don't know whatever happened to her. A Dallas Hummer of Elk Grove faces 25 to 30 years in prison under her plea agreement, the U.S. Attorney Office in Sacramento said in a statement. Hummer solicited red rum and hate crimes based on the race, religion, and national origin, sexual orientation, and gender identity of others. You're laughing at me because I'm a dum-dum. The U.S. Attorney's Office will continue to work tirelessly with our partners in law enforcement and the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute those who commit such violations of federal criminal law and keep our people and public officials safe from hate-fueled crime and violence. See, what happened January 6th? Everybody knows January 6th. That was when, after Biden took office, President Trump was making a speech in Pennsylvania, and the White House was attacked. That was a hate crime. Now I'm thinking about it right this minute, it was a hate crime. But they've tried for years to pin that crime on President Trump when President Trump had nothing to do with it. He had stated in his speech, nobody should harm anybody else for any decision that this is made in this country. He said that in his speech, not in those words. I'm not quoting him, but that's what he said. And then just like a few minutes after he said that, the White House was attacked. You know, Humber and Matthew Allison of Boise, Idaho were arrested last year and charged with operating terrorism channels and group chats where they solicited their adherents to commit attacks in order to achieve the group's goals of accelerationism and white supremacy, to provide instructions on how to carry out those attacks. Oh, when he used AI to make it look like there were more people than there were there. Did he? I didn't know that. I believe you. I believe you. Okay, the group is linked to an October 22nd shooting outside of an LGBTQ bar in Slovakia in which 2 people were unalived, a planned attack on energy facilities in New Jersey in July of last year, and the poke of 5 people near Moscow in Turkey in August of last year. Now, those are in other countries. They're not in America, but they're still hate crimes. And I guess they're saying that this lady from America that was in office incited all that. Right. No, he wasn't inaugurated at that time. It was after Biden took office the first time. So it was like 2000. 2016, 2020. I don't remember. It was in 2020, yeah. It was right before COVID and right after Biden took office. Hummer, well, hold on, I can't read it. Let me put it on the screen. I had an email come up right then. Well, I think it's a hate crime that Trump is taking off the TQ off of the LBG and not recognizing it anymore. Okay, is the T transgender? What is the Q? I never did know what the Q was. Because I know what the L is, I know what the G is, I think I know what the B is, and I think the T is transgender, but I don't know what Q is. Qualifying. There we go. They're qualifying. I'm going to come up with it myself. Okay. The terrorism belief system recalls the Islamic jihadists. Its members celebrate saints, white supremacists who were passed away, while carrying out attacks against people of color and LGBTQ people, and ethos used to inspire future attacks. Oh, yeah, it could be that. I always thought that the G and the Q were the same thing. If Q is that, then the G and the Q would be the same thing. When I was growing up, they were the same thing. I don't know how they got separated into two different things. And the L, if you think about it, is the same as the G. The T is totally different. The B, if it stands for colored persons, that's not the same as either one of the letters. But if it stands for binary, then that's a whole different thing. Because I know somebody who is truly was born non-binary. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. They don't need all these different labels to put them into a category. We could have G and B and T, and it can cover everybody. But I'm not going to say remove anybody, because the L's want to be there. The Q's want to be there. Let them be who they are. Color LGBTQ people and ethos used to inspire future attacks. The canonization of mass pupils, amplification of their messages creates an environment where aspiring attackers are increasingly willing to perpetrate violence as a way to honor previous saints. Everyone needs a participation trophy. Yes, everyone. We are human. HUMAN. If you want to get technical, you can say Homo sapien. We're all human. No matter how you feel about yourself or what your preference in life is, we're all human. All created in God's image. They're honoring previous saints. Now, is that religious saints? Or is it saints from like England or something like that, where you got knights and saints and kings and jesters and whatever? Attain sainthood to attain sainthood themselves and inspire future attacks. Humber explained in the Telegram post. She faced 15 charges, including conspiracy, multiple counts of soliciting hate crimes, and soliciting the number of federal officials, as well as doxing of federal officials by making their restricted private information publicly available to intimidate them, transmitting interstate threatening communications, distribution of information related to explosives, and conspiring to provide material support to terrorists. Without a plea deal, Humer could have faced life in prison if convicted on all charges. The federal public defender, Representative Humer, didn't immediately respond to a press request for a comment. Well, would you? Would you? That's got to be a public defender. It is public defender. That means they were appointed to represent this person, this official. Because no attorney would take the case. So somebody had, this is just my thought. Doing something like that's legal. What does it say about the attorney who agrees to represent her? They had to appoint somebody because nobody else would take the case. That's just what I'm saying. I'm just adding to the scenario. I don't know the truth. All I know is what I'm reading. And I'm just ad-libbing the rest to make our content fun. How many remember AOL? You know it still exists? I didn't. I thought it went out with Windows or something. Hate crimes investigated as boy hit with air rifle. A teenage boy was hit by an air rifle, and anti-Semitic graffiti was painted on a building as a seaside town was hit by a spate of what police have described as hate crimes. Dorset police received reports on Saturday at 2:50 BST. I don't know what BST is. I know Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific. I don't know what BST stands for. That two people were abused and a driver on Manor Road in Bournemouth before, that's British Standard Time. Okay. Before one of them was shot in the head by an air weapon. Officers said a teenage boy suffered a minor head injury, and they are appealing for anyone with information about the attack to contact them. In the same afternoon, police received 4 reports of criminal damage in the town center with anti-Semitic graffiti painted onto buildings. Dorset police said it takes hate crime extremely serious, and a full investigation is underway to identify those responsible. It added the local officers will be carrying out iniquities in an area and can be approached by anyone while out on patrol with information and concerns. Our police won't do that. You can't come up to them while they're out on parole and say, "Oh, I know about this." They'll say, "You need to call it into the station." At least here in Nowhereville, Kansas, they will. All right, the last one, Detroit Free Press. This is from Marketplace. Trans woman's body found behind Detroit laundromat. Man charged with red rum hate crime. I wonder if this is just a commercial. Okay, that's not what we wanted. Because if it was just a commercial, it would say skip ad, so we didn't want that. An 18-year-old Highland Park man has been charged with a hate crime in connection with the unaliving of the 28-year-old transgender woman of color whose body was found behind a laundromat in Detroit. Now, that's the first I've ever heard of a transgender of color. I thought that was a white people thing. I guess I'm wrong. Never heard of it, of people of color. I'm not knocking it. According to press release from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, Christina Hayes of Taylor was assaulted and robbed of her money and cell phone at about 4:30 a.m. on June 21st. Later that day at about 3 p.m., police were summoned to a laundromat at the 17,600 block of Woodward. You own your own street, Missy? Do you own your own street? You had a street named after you, and you didn't tell me? In Detroit. They found her body in the alley behind the building. She had injuries on her neck and face. An investigation by the Detroit Police Department led to the August 15 arrest of Malik Javon Fales. He was arraigned Monday, August 18th in 36th District Court in Detroit. The charges: felony murder, larceny, and from a person, and a hate crime. A preliminary examination for Fales has been scheduled for September 2nd. The case represents the continuing pattern of vicious attacks and red drums on trans women of color. Every single citizen of Wayne County has the right to lead their lives and be safe. Amen. We will bring the alleged red drummer of Christina Hayes to justice, said Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy said in the statement. Contact Georgia Kovanis at Free Press. The story was updated to add a video. Okay. But that video isn't what we want. Because let's see, it just comes to another one that says, when should you call 911? But there's no video for that. Well, that's all we have on hate crimes. I'm going to say they're really a thing. And it's important that we know about it. And let's just say, if you see a hate crime happening, report it. Or if you see any kind of crime happening, report it. Back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, that used to make you a snitch. It still does. But if nobody knows you're the one that reported it, you're okay. In my opinion, you're okay. Anyway. Okay. Did you see in my intro, if you watched my intro, I put the green porch light movement in there? I still have a green light on my porch. And if there's anybody out there who is lost or need a way home, you can come to any house that has a green porch light. and they will call 911 and help you get home to your family. That's my promise to you. Now, whether everybody else is going to keep the promise, I can't say, but I'll keep my promise. So I have a green lamp on my front porch, and it stays lit 24/7. So, do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile. Thank you very much for being here. And search for crime.